Hello, everybody, and welcome to Plugin School Clichés. My name is Karistina Lafae, and I am your host. My wonderful co-host is Tomas. As always, this class is being recorded, and you can find the recordings on my YouTube channel, where my username is also Karistina Lafae. Don't worry if your screen doesn't look like mine because I choose the dark theme. It's easier on my eyes. This week, we are going to look in plugins that are cliche killers. There are a lot of cliches that AI writing generation produces, um, and they generally are not things we want to have in our stories. So people have written plugins to help get rid of all that cliche language before class, so I wouldn't take up class time doing it. I generated an entire story from scratch, um, intentionally to incorporate as many cliches as possible. My entire brain dump was in the cozy town of Willowbrook. A group of friends discovers a mysterious portal through which magical creatures are transported into our modern world. The genre is cozy fantasy short story. The style I gave it was 5,000 word short story, sentences of varying lengths, and intentional use of cliches and tropes and corny dialogue. Yes, I wanted to get it all in so we could see just how well these plugins we're going to be demonstrating can do. Um, this should be pretty interesting. I generated the synopsis using the generate synopsis button. I did the same thing with generating characters, and I also generated my outline without any additional input from me. This is this entire short story that I generated using beats. I generated using the generate beats plugin without editing them. And I'm only going to read you the first two paragraphs of this story so you have an idea of what we're going to be working with. The morning sun filtered through the dense canopy of trees, casting dappled shadows on the forest floor. Lily Evergreen led her friends, Tom Bookman and the daring twins, Jake and Emma Winters, down the winding path, her heart pounding with anticipation. She had heard whispers of a mystical area in these woods, shrouded in magic and wonder, and she was determined to find it. As they ventured deeper into the forest, the air grew cooler and the trees grew taller, their leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. Lily's excitement bubbled over as she spotted something in the distance, a faint ethereal glow emanating from an ancient moss-covered stone well. So that sets the tone for what we're going to be looking at. And yes, thank you, Tomas, for sharing the link to the plugins directory. All of the plugins I'm going to be demonstrating today can be found in the plugins directory, well, except for one that's currently unlisted, but I got permission to demonstrate it in class anyways. So the first cliche killing plugin we are going to look at is Intro via Coaching. This plugin, oh, I thought I added it already. Well, dang. We're gonna have to refresh my screen once it adds. It's been lagging for me a little bit today, adding and removing plugins. Um, wow, this is taking a little while. Let's refresh and see if it did add. Nope. All right, well, I'll read the description of the plugin while I'm waiting for that to process. This one was created by HD. I'm not sure who that is, if they're in Discord or not. 27 people currently use it, and it's got medium-high credit usage. It says a blank page lies before you. You want to write a story, but how do you start it? This plugin is similar to Write via Coaching plugin, but is geared toward kicking off a story from a blank slate. So this plugin is different from the rest of the plugins we're going to be demonstrating in class today, as this one sets out to prevent you from getting to prevent you from getting cliches in your writing to begin with. To use this plugin, you should have the Story Bible characters filled out for any characters who will be mentioned in the opening paragraphs, like protagonists. Within the narrative, write plain English instructions for the AI, such as describe the setting, describe Bob, and establish that he is driving his car. Blah, blah, blah. Highlight the instructions and run the plugin. I think I'll have to change. You know what? I'm going to, let's see, it looks at Story Bible characters. So I'm going to just remove my brain dump and remove my style, well, at least the intentional use of cliches, tropes, and corny dialogue, so that that doesn't affect anything. And it's not going to do anything to change my characters. So I'm just going to say, write a story based on the beats, or based on the there are a couple people who should probably see if they can mute their mics. Does this plugin work with the new character box? Yes and no. We're kind of trying to work out some of the intricacies of how the character box works with plugins because of limited context windows, and that's actually going to be the subject of next week's class. So we'll get back to that next week. I can't cover that right now because it's still in beta and they're still working on stuff, and I hope to have more information for you next week. Okay, this does look at Story Bible characters. Going to say write a story based on I don't know, do I just since it doesn't necessarily take the beats into account, I don't believe it looks at it. I will take the beats from this and say following beats. And see what it has to say. Oh, did we actually get it added? We did not get it added. All right, we will come back to this one. I'm sorry, that's a little frustrating. All right, so let's move along to find cliches, then kill them. I added this one too. What is going on here? The red pen cliche finder. Is this just okay, this isn't. Huh. I did add all of these. I just need to report a bug real quick. All right. Well, since I know I did add these, maybe I will see if they're in my list anyways to run them. Intro via coaching. I made sure stuff was added using the non-beta links. Well, let's see. One I know that is added here is the red pen cliche finder. We're gonna have to go out of order from what I intended. Or wait, no, here's intro to coaching. Hey, I'm sorry, this is a mess. Okay. Intro via coaching. Let's run this and see what we get. Oh, this is okay. This is generating the story. Lily Evergreen's brush strokes, as precise as her steps through the undergrowth, trail across the canvas of nature. Each ripple in the brook, twist of vine, and chirp in the canopy weaves into the masterpiece of this morning's hike. Her three companions, Tom, with a leather-bound tome bouncing against his hip, Jake, eyes scouting for adventure, and Emma, whose laughter dances on the breeze, follow the redhead with an infectious zeal. The quartet of friends ventures onward, driven by whispers of a place where the veil between worlds thins like morning mist. I'm not sure if this is doing quite what we want because wow, we don't have any dialogue in here. So, I'm not sure I would recommend intro via coaching. Let's see how many credits this used. Okay, it used about 4,482 credits. Please mute yourself if you are. Yes, too much telling and info dumps from this plugin. I would not recommend this as a way to write without cliches in your writing. So going to my test story, the next one I can check up on is the Red Pen Cliche Finder. This is by Espresso. It has medium credit usage, and it is described as a brutal editor who lives to crush cliches, also known as paste up to 10,000 words into a document and run this plugin to receive a report of cliches that need busting with extreme prejudice. So that is what we're going to do. Oh, it looks at preceding text, so we don't need to highlight anything. We just need to scroll to the end of the prose. And since it's up to 10,000 words, we are fine because this story is just over 4,000. So this is the Red Pen Cliche Finder. All right. Dear author, I have thoroughly reviewed your captivating prose and identified several areas where cliches and overused phrases could be refreshed to heighten the uniqueness of your voice. Please find my detailed reports and suggestions below. 1. Heart pounding / racing is a common phrase used to convey excitement or anticipation. Consider alternatives such as her pulse quickened, her heart thrummed with excitement, or a rush of adrenaline coursed through her veins. The phrase casting dappled shadows is a well-worn description. Instead, try something more evocative, such as the sunlight filtered through the canopy, painting the forest floor with a mosaic of light and shadow. Although that still is talking about the sunlight filtering through the canopy. Bubbling over with excitement is a cliche. Explore more original ways to express this, such as her excitement threatened to spill over, or she could barely contain her enthusiasm. 4. Describing something as ethereal or otherworldly is a bit overused. Consider more unique adjectives like numinous. Ooh, I do like numinous. Preternatural or transcendent. Not always going to fit the vibe of your story, but not bad feedback. The phrase filled with wonder or awe is common. Instead, try vivid descriptions like her eyes widened, drinking in the impossible sight before her, or a reverent hush fell over her as she beheld the spectacle. Um, this gave us 9 examples of cliches that we need to deal with in this story. But I think it barely got past the first bit of bit of the story. Like all of this is within the first quarter of the prose. So that was the red pen, which I can now close here because we've demonstrated it. Intermediate coaching we've used. Now the next one we're going to try is check for all the cliches in our world. This one is by John Crisson. It's got about 86 users, so it's moderately popular. It is high credit usage. Oh, we didn't check for the red pen, so let me do that. This does let us select up to 8,000 words of prose. But first let's check on that red pen. That one cost us about 2,907, not about, it cost exactly 2,907 credits for the feedback it gave us. And that was medium high credit usage, I believe. So this one is high credit usage, and I wanna actually look at the instructions for this because it checks prose against all the cliches in our world doc as it was on September 18th, 2023, when a bunch of people came together to enumerate some of the issues with AI generated prose, including piercing blue eyes, warm brown eyes, striking hazel eyes, cold gray eyes, she rolled her eyes, the sun rose or any variation thereof, likewise the sun setting or any variation, intense or predatory gaze, luminescent flower. Some common character names it spits out. We didn't actually get any of these, but we did have a variant of Jack with Jake. I intentionally called this Willow Creek because I knew it was cliche and I wanted to see what the plugins would do about it. Got some dialogue and phrases, some narration stuff that's common cliches. Oh, yes, I'm just looking back to the comments. Smaller sections of highlighted text will give you better results when something is intentionally full of cliches. So we are going to highlight all of our test story here and run check for all the cliches in our world. I can already tell just by scrolling through this that this is fairly fairly good. I did read the entire story before class started, just to make sure. So, for 41,500 credits. So this plugin actually costs more than it costs to generate this entire story, just for reference. But we got overused elements evaluation. Looking at the names used in this story, such as Lily, Jake, Tom, and Emma, they're quite common and somewhat overused in fiction. It's funny because I've been rereading the Dresden Files series, and one of the books has both a Jake and an Emma in it. It's always good to mix up common names with unique ones that stir intrigue and add character depth. However, names like Eldon Thistlevine and Morgash Darkweaver felt more original and interesting for a fantasy scenario. The narrative could benefit from incorporating more unique names throughout the piece. But Darkweaver, however, is starting to get into some overused territory, even though the plugin doesn't recognize that. The place name Willowbrook is generic and follows popular naming conventions, combining nature-related terms plus geographical terms. For an otherworldly setting or place of magic, a more creative approach could be taken. Yes, this is true. In terms of cliche phrases and plot devices, phrases like the tension was palpable, heart pounding or racing, deep breaths are repeated often, something which can be avoided for better storytelling variety. Also, using despite their differences type resolves are commonly seen in many stories. On dialogue evaluation, we're going to get through this together is a frequent line in plots involving unity against odds. Poetic usage of common words, moss-covered stones, heart pounding, environmental description, character interaction, problem resolution. It has some suggestions here for better use of these things. And in conclusion, effectively avoiding cliches and standard phrases boils down to creative writing application. Refresh routine expressions or replace them with vivid metaphors, similes for a more interesting narrative flow. I think that was pretty valuable feedback. Like I said, it is more expensive to run. Yeah, I think this is one of the older plugins. With the four lightning bolts for credit usage, it's probably GPT-4 Turbo. And it is a two-stage plugin, so it is running stuff twice. That's another reason it's more expensive. But enough people, there are over 1,400 users who have added this plugin, and they seem to be content with it. So you can use it for whatever, whenever you think it would be beneficial. What do we have next in our list here? Find cliches, then kill them. I wasn't going to do back-to-back John plugins, but looks like that's what we're gonna do. Oh, I was looking at the wrong one when I was describing that. But actually, now that I think about it, let's just compare the two. Okay, that plugin actually only has 88 users. And it is a one-step plugin. So the stuff I just said about it being a two-stage plugin is for the one we're about to look at. Sorry for the confusion there. So this is going to be a two-stage plugin. So it might take a little time for it to populate in the sidebar here. Or maybe I should make sure.
I think you may not have selected any words. It looked like you did, but then it said it complained that you didn't.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I didn't realize you were here. Hi. All right, yeah. I must have done something funky. Oh, this one is giving us some original phrases and then revised alternatives. And for reference, it did not charge me for this plugin. Is there
It's not
anything?
finished yet.
Oh, it's not. Okay, my bad. I thought it was done.
As you point out, these are expensive plugins.
Yes. But if if this is the work you need to get done, it's entirely worth the credits. Um to improve your narrative. Okay, I think it's done now. And this one was 44,742 credits. So about on par with the previous one. This is some substantial information. We have, in terms of overused names, I'd suggest some variation. Yes, we went that the previous plugin mentioned that. The narrative contains few cliches, which is good, but then consider the following revisions. Instead of her heart pounded with anticipation, maybe her pulse thrummed in rhythm with her mounting excitement. Instead of Jake and Emma exchanged skeptical glances, maybe Jake and Emma shared an uncertain look. I'm not sure that makes a substantive difference for that one, but in this narrative, Willowbrook comes across as somewhat of a cookie cutter small town. Consider fleshing out its description, what it looks like, how it feels to live there, etc. As for the title suggestion, based on the story fragments you've provided, here's a possible choice. Might be Portals of Willowbrook or Elden's Realm. These titles provide a sense of mystery and wonder while hinting at important elements of the novel. The protagonist's love for art doesn't make much appearance until later in the story. I would recommend building up to this aspect earlier so that when magic gets involved in your artwork, it doesn't feel forced. Also, try imbuing your characters with noticeable attributes or quirks early on in order to distinguish them from each other and make them more memorable. This will keep readers invested and engaged throughout the narrative. Lastly, remember to balance dialogue with exposition. At points, it felt as if the characters were only speaking to push the plot along to explain something. Ensure they have more natural conversations, too. Superb suggestions. Instead of the common names, I could introduce our protagonists as Vivian Talbot or Theo Faust. Our Faust. Our supporting characters could be named Hala and Orion Stonefield, all unique and carrying a sense of intrigue. Rather than stating her heart pounded with anticipation, I can instead weave into the narrative of the drumbeat of her pulse echoed her swelling excitement. It it looks like it started over in the middle of running, which is fine. Do 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 do. Oh, it actually fully repeating itself? I thought it was giving us some original stuff here. It's crucial to lay seeds about our protagonist's love from art. Perhaps she absentmindedly doodles intricate patterns while lost in thought, or maybe she has an old easel collecting dust in the corner of her room that she gazes at wistfully from time to time. Each character needs their own distinctive qualities to engage readers' interest, from Vivian's absent-minded finger tapping to Theo's constant book in hand habit. Giving them clear quirks will create more vivid images in readers' minds. Dialogue is key, but it mustn't feel forced or purely serve the plot. Let the characters express their personalities through conversation. Let them argue about their favorite novels or discuss what they had for breakfast. normal conversations that offer insight into who they are. This balance between exposition and dialogue propels both character development and plot progression. So these are all pretty good suggestions because the story is rather uninspired. I mean, the dialogue, amazing, Tom said, his eyes wide with wonder. Guys, look, Jake examined, pointing at the well. There's more coming. Whoa, this is insane, Emma said, her eyes darting back and forth between the creatures, since there are magical creatures emanating from this portal. Yeah, very uninspired. But yeah, I got really good plugin or feedback from this plugin, and I may use the feedback to run through my incorporate feedback and rewrite this plugin that I have currently unlisted because I'm not completely happy with its results, but it may be coming soon. Let's see, the next plugin we're going to look at is let me just see if I can find them in my plugin list.
You had
Okay.
cliche remover 4K. Which one were you looking for?
Did I scroll past that?
Yeah, it had like a bunch of, it had like a right there.
Oh, here it is. Yep. We'll do this one next. All right. Cliche Remover 4K. This one is by Apricot O'Brien. It is a low credit usage plugin, which makes it very cheap to run. It removes the cliches that AI writing tends to often repeat. I say, determination flaring within me. I look at you with piercing eyes, my predatory gaze sending shivers down your spine. I'm nothing if not enigmatic and often reflect on my journey of self-discovery. Select up to 4,000 words. Oh, I am just over 4,000 words. So let's see if do numbers count as words? Numbers count as words. And maybe I'll run my contractionizer on it. Just to all that does is turn any words into contractions that could be. And it's fairly cheap to run. I thought
It was towards the top when you first turned it on.
of course it is, because I thought it was towards the bottom. Ugh. All right, I'm gonna have to paste this into a new document, which is frustrating. I didn't realize this had a character limit or a word limit that was longer than the story. Otherwise, I would have done something about it ahead of time.
I mean, you could just take out this little paragraph here. Lily turned to see a parade of wondrous creatures. That's probably 27
Yeah,
words.
you know what? It's 35 words.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah. Fortunately, we need to, okay, that is done. So we are looking for the emojis. Cliche remover 4K. All right, so this one rewrites your text. instead of just giving suggestions. So let's see. All right, it did not change any cliched names, but we have, instead of starting out with the morning sun filtering through the dense canopy of trees, we have Lily Evergreen and her friends, Tom Bookman and the daring twins, Jake and Emma Winters, journeyed through the dense forest. The air grew cooler and the trees grew taller as they ventured deeper, searching for the mystical area whispered about in their town. Lily's curiosity led them to an ancient moss-covered stone well, where they discovered a world of magic and wonder. As they stood before the well, a tremor shook the ground and the air cracked with arcane energy. A tiny winged creature, a fairy, emerged from the well's radiant portal. Lily reached out and the fairy settled her hand, and we get our first line of dialogue as, "Whoa, what did we do?" Which we get in the original after a bit more. Welcome to the world of magic, my friends, Eldon said. Your bravery has brought us together, and now we must work together to protect our homes from the forces of darkness. So we've still got some collective triumph to go here, and it did not rewrite the entire story. It kind of condensed it. So I guess there are some limitations to what this plugin can do. I would recommend running it only on shorter passages of text, despite the fact it says you can do up to 4,000 words. But for comparison's sake, it only cost 292 credits to run. So if you only select like a couple of paragraphs at a time, you're going to get much better results with this one. Because we don't want to summarize the entire story with, as they journeyed through the enchanted forest, they faced challenges and discovered the true meaning of friendship and teamwork. The once ordinary town of Willowbrook was forever changed by their adventure, and with each passing day, the friends knew that their memories of the mystical realm and mythical creatures they had encountered would remain with them always. That in and of itself is part of the cliche, so not really beneficial. The Havoc week with the Claude 3. Yes, I agree with you about that. But yeah, I bet haiku probably would work pretty well with a cliche finder. But this one does have some utility, but I'd say it's pretty limited utility since we still have the collective triumph in there. I may have time to demonstrate an additional plugin that I didn't have on my radar, or I didn't have on my original list. Yeah, this is the last one I wanted to demonstrate. It is called Tripe Trasher. You cannot find it in the plugin directory. Claire wrote it and kept it unlisted, but she said I could give it a try in class. The instructions also incorporate a list of overused words and phrases. It looks at both preceding and highlighted text. And this one uses Gemini Pro. Whereas the one that used, perhaps it might be the same list of cliches, but it uses a different LLM. So let me just look again. This has the coffee cup that Espresso likes to use. So let's see if we can find Tripe Trasher. Here it is. Oh, this, if I were to put this somewhere else, it would format this in a nice way with, this would give me a nice heading, bold text, and bullet points. You have the sun rose and set appears twice, intense or predatory gaze appears once, together appears 3 times, she, they, they whispered appears 2 times. It felt like something out of a insert genre here movie appears 1 time. Deep breaths appears 1 time. Determined or determination appears twice. Can't help but appears 1 time. Oh, that one hurts. I use that in my, human writing. His, her, their hands trembled as once. Overused names, we know Lily, Tom, Jake, and Emma. Cliched descriptions. We've got piercing blue eyes, ethereal glow, whispers of a mystical area, forest floor, their hearts pounded with anticipation, a faint ethereal glow, tiny winged creature, the forest grew taller, shivers down spine, the moon something when the scene is at night, magical presence, pristine town of Willowbrook, the sun beat down / the sun blazed overhead. Cliched narrative structures. They realized. A and B reflect on their journey of self-discovery, friendship, and love. Their story serves as a testament to the power of love in overcoming even the most insert obstacle. They are determined to build a life filled with happiness, laughter, and adventure. Other cliches. The air crackled with arcane energy. Go down without a fight. Eldon Thistlevine. Name sounds like a stereotypical name made for a fantasy character, and that is exactly what it is. The portal they had unwittingly opened. This phrase is a bit clunky and could be rephrased more smoothly. Total cliches found. Overused words and phrases, 13. Overused names, 4. Cliche descriptions, 15. Cliche narrative structures, 4. Other cliches, 3. Total cliches, 39. Additional notes. This passage is filled with cliches, making it feel unoriginal and predictable. The overuse of certain words and phrases makes the writing clunky and repetitive. The characters and their names are not memorable and could be more developed. The narrative structure is predictable and relies on cliches. Details are often vague and lack detail. As I told the AI to do this, intentionally, we got all the cliches, so I was expecting these results, but I wanted to see how much each plugin would pick up on, so this is useful. For recommendations, it says avoid using overused words, phrases, and cliches, choose more original and memorable names for your characters, develop your characters more fully so they are not one-dimensional, use a more varied and interesting narrative structure, and focus on creating vivid and detailed descriptions. By following these recommendations, you can improve your writing and make it more engaging for readers. This is all great advice, and it cost us, wow, 1,883 credits. Not much at all. I gotta say, that might be my favorite so far out of all the plugins we tested today. Yeah. There is another one I can do that I have added. Let's find it. Fight Collective Triumph. It's one of the first ones I installed apparently. I'll look it up while it's running. Fight Collective Triumph. Because that in and of itself is a cliche. And this was also written by John. Thank you, John. Oh, and this rewrites the story. Morning Sun. Okay, so we still have the Morning Sun, but we're only worried about Collective Triumph with this particular plugin, not the rest of the cliches. So if you're encountering Collective Triumph in your story, you can run this one first and then run the other plugins if you'd like to check for them. The morning sun filtered through the dense canopy of trees, casting dappled shadows on. That's the same. As they ventured deeper. My word, Lily whispered to herself, eyes fixed on the well. I think we found it, instead of, guys, look. In awe of her discovery, she approached carefully. Her fingertips brushed against the cold stone surface of the well. Scroll down. Even when faced with skepticism and fear from Cassandra and Mayor Hawthorne, Lily remained patient and understanding. Her determination to unite both realms reflected strongly in her actions and words, helping everyone slowly come around. She stepped forward into the portal, ready to face any challenge that lay on the other side. After all, Willowbrook was no longer just home. It was now a magical abode where humans and mythical creatures coexisted harmoniously. This is another instance where you don't want to select 4,000 words because it only got through part of the narrative. That's okay as long as you know what to expect. This one was also 42,354 words, another high credit usage plugin.
These are the GPT-4 32Ks,
Yep.
which you can just give them little hints of ideas and they will give you back interesting things.
Yeah. But yeah, these were all the cliche killer plugins I had on tap to demonstrate today, plus a bonus. With fighting Collective Triumph. We did seem to fight Collective Triumph there. Maybe it would have worked better if I'd just run it on the end of the story, however.
I have a feeling that Collective Triumph is indication of writing the entire, getting the entire book in there and then starting chapter 1. Because, Collective Triumph works at the end of the story. It doesn't work as great at the end of every stride or at the end of every chapter.
Yeah. I mean, this is a short story, so the ending is pretty ridiculous. Let's see. The sun was setting over Willowbrook, casting a warm glow over the town square. Lily sat on a bench, her eyes fixed on the horizon. She couldn't help but feel grateful for the events that had led her here. The portal was sealed, and the mythical creatures had returned to their own realm, but she couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing. Hey, Lily, Tom's voice broke through her thoughts and turned to see him and the twins approaching. What are you thinking about? Just everything, Lily replied, a wistful smile on her lips. I can't believe it's all over. Neither can we, Emma said, plopping down next to her. I mean, who would have thought we'd be fighting evil sorcerers and saving magical beings? Speak for yourself, Jake joked, nudging his sister playfully. I always knew we were destined for greatness. They all left, enjoying the lighthearted moment, but as the sun dipped below the horizon, a sense of melancholy settled over yeah, as they walked towards the ice cream shop, she couldn't help but feel grateful for the lasting bonds they had forged with the mythical beings. They may have been from different worlds, but they were all united by a common goal to protect and preserve the magic of their realms. Oh, as they entered the ice cream shop, Lily couldn't help but feel content. The future was uncertain, but she knew that as long as she had her friends by her side, anything was possible. So, yeah, that was the most cliched story I could produce before class started. And we gave those plugins a run for their money. If I had to pick a clear winner, it would be the unlisted plugin that Claire wrote.
Yes, we need to ask Claire to list the plugin so we can use it.
Yes.
It would work
Treasure. I'm
really
definitely gonna
well.
have to let her know that it was pretty great, and she needs to release it.
Absolutely.
We'll get to some questions once I stop this recording. So first, I will thank everybody for coming. I think this was a pretty good class, taking a look at the various cliche killing plugins that exist, and maybe showing you some opportunities for some new plugins that might be able to do the same work better and cheaper. And next week I will see you for character plugins as soon as we're able to sort out how the plugin or the character beta becomes available to everybody. So I will see you next time.